Sudan, a country rich in culture, history, and natural resources. But right now, it's facing one of the worst humanitarian crises in the world. Millions displaced, entire cities destroyed, families starving. And yet, many people still don't know what's actually happening. To understand Sudan's crisis, we need to go back to April 2023, when tensions exploded between two powerful military groups. The Sudanese Armed Forces, known as the SAF, the country's official army, and the Rapid Support Forces, or RSF, a heavily armed paramilitary group with roots in the notorious Janjaweed militias from Darfur. Both sides once worked together after the fall of former dictator Omar al-Bashir. But a battle for power, money, and control of Sudan's gold-rich regions turned them into enemies. When negotiations over integrating the RSF into the National Army failed, the conflict ignited, and Sudan was plunged into a brutal civil war. What followed was chaos. Cities turned into war zones, and millions of civilians caught in the crossfire. The capital city, Khartoum, quickly became one of the biggest battlegrounds. Buildings burned, streets emptied, and everyday people were forced to flee as fighting intensified. Other regions faced even worse conditions. In Darfur, the RSF and allied militias carried out mass atrocities against non-Arab communities. Villages were raided, homes were burned, and thousands were killed, actions many experts describe as ethnic cleansing, and possibly even genocide. Meanwhile, in places like Kordofan and El Fasher, mortar shelling, drone attacks, and urban combat have created fear and instability across the country. Despite occasional claims of ceasefires, fighting continues as each side tries to control territory, resources, and trade routes, especially gold mines that help fund their operations. Sudan isn't just experiencing a war, it's experiencing a humanitarian collapse. Over 12 million people have been forced to flee their homes. 25 million people, more than half the country, face extreme food shortages. Many areas are on the brink of, or already experiencing, famine. Hospitals have been destroyed or taken over, leaving entire regions with no medical care. International aid groups warn that Sudan is facing the worst displacement crisis on Earth. Families walk for days with no food. Children suffer from malnutrition. Outbreaks of disease, including cholera, are spreading. Humanitarian workers say both the SAF and RSF have blocked aid deliveries, meaning many civilians simply cannot get help. In many towns, there are no functioning markets, no clean water, and no schools. Life, as many Sudanese people knew it, has collapsed. Despite the scale of the suffering, Sudan receives far less international attention compared to other global crises. Why? One reason is geopolitics. Major world powers are divided over how to handle Sudan, and some countries even have economic ties to the warring groups. Another reason is media coverage. With so many global conflicts happening at once, Sudan is often overshadowed. And without global pressure, the war continues, and civilians continue paying the price. If the war continues, Sudan risks fragmentation, breaking apart into separate territories controlled by different armed groups. Refugee flows could destabilize neighboring countries like Chad, South Sudan, and Egypt. Humanitarian agencies warn of a lost generation of children growing up without education, safety, or hope. But Sudanese civilians continue to show extraordinary resilience. Local volunteers have formed community kitchens, makeshift clinics, and educational programs. They share food, shelter strangers, and support families who have nowhere else to go. The people of Sudan are demanding peace. They want a future where the country isn't controlled by militias or military leaders, but by civilians, democracy, and justice. Sudan's crisis isn't just a conflict. It's a tragedy unfolding in slow motion. Millions need food, protection, and the world's attention.